Young at heart, fairy tales can come true. They can happen to you when you are young at heart. Well, young at heart, that's what you have to be. All right. This getting old thing is for the birds. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm sorry. I'm just like musing here, just thinking Friday, Friday, Friday. Today's Friday. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, February 3rd, in the 2023rd year of our Lord Jesus Christ. Welcome to the second to last Friday morning preview of the NFL for this season. Now, let's see, Friday morning preview. That means of the NFL. That means we're talking about the NFL. And if we're talking about the NFL, there's only two teams that we could talk about right now. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there were a lot of pretenders that came along during the year and lots of hopes from the Panthers to the Jaguars, even. And all of those pretenders have been laid to rest. They're gone. And there's only two teams to be made. That includes the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills were right there. Everyone thought they were going to be there. I did too. And what happened? Well, they didn't do it. But for these two franchises, it is the culmination of destiny after years and years and years and years of failure and mediocrity. Now, the Kansas City franchise, they were stalwarts of the old American Football League that began in 1960. And they won two AFL championships along the way. One as the Dallas Texans. Recently, the franchise started as the Dallas Texans. The owner is Lamar Hunt, a Texan. And he started but then when he started and I previewed this last week, when he started the Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL tried to thwart him by starting another franchise, the Dallas Cowboys. So he had the Dallas Texans, the AFL. And so the NFL, they created the Dallas Cowboys as competition to drive him out. So he moved his franchise to Kansas City. Okay. Now, they won two AFL championships, and they represented the AFL in the first Super Bowl collaboration with the NFL in 1967. But there they suffered in a terrible defeat at the hands of the Green Bay Packers, 33-10. 3 years later, they were back in the game, the Super Bowl game in 1970, and they redeemed themselves. They defeated the Minnesota Vikings by the score of 23-7. They had as their quarterback Lynn Dawson, as the running back Mike Garrett, and Otis Taylor on offense. So they had a pretty good offense. These were standout names at the time. And on defense, they had Bobby Bell, Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp, Willie Neer, just to name a few. 9 members of that team, 9 members of that 1969-1970 team are in the Hall of Fame for the Kansas City Chiefs. So they had a heck of a squad. They had talent on both sides of the ball, and they will not reach the Super Bowl again for a long time. What they thought was going to be years and years of glory, fame, and adulation turned into years and years of disappointment and ridicule. That was hard times for Kansas City. The team suffered. The team suffered. Let's just put it that way. They were like the butts. When you go a number of years without winning, you become the butts of almost could have, should have, would have, but they never did. And they never went to another Super Bowl for 50 years. That's right, 50 years. It's 1970 to, 50 years. So they managed to make it through all that. Imagine 50 years of waiting for something. 50 years of waiting for something. Most of us can't stand to wait a week. Most of us can't stand to wait a day for what we want. We want something, we want it today. And then if we don't get it that day, we feel like the world is ended. If we don't get it for a week, we've been ignored. If we don't get it for a year, life is over. We're not supposed to get it. But that's not true, okay? In 2017, Patrick Mahomes was drafted. With Mahomes and head coach Andy Reid, the Chiefs have the highest winning percentage in the NFL over the last 5 seasons. Not bad, huh? Okay, let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. The Eagles have endured hardship even longer. Philadelphia was once perennial stalwarts in the old NFL. They were formed in 1933 by Burt Bell, who later became commissioner of the NFL because he had such innovation ideas. He moved what was then the NFL playing in secondary market teams, such as Canton and a bunch of other Scranton, a bunch of other secondary market teams. He had the idea the NFL should go mainstream, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, to name a few, eventually Los Angeles, okay? So they were going to be big market teams. Burt Bell came up with that idea, pushed it, and the NFL ran with it, and they became profitable. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles won 3 NFL championships in the old NFL. They were stalwarts. They were perennial front runners, always there at the top. They won it in, I can't even remember, 1948, 1949, and then 1960. Okay? But Super Bowl with the merger, okay, that was pre-merger. The merger happened in 1970. They started playing the Super Bowl in 1967, of which Kansas City was a part of, as we know. So these two teams are kind of joined in that sense. They've been around for a period of time. But Philadelphia hadn't won anything. They went there twice. Okay, yeah, they went there twice without winning. They lost to the Oakland Raiders in 1980 under Dick Vermeil. That's right, they lost with Dick Vermeil in 1980 to the Oakland Raiders. I think that was that incredible run by Marcus Allen that kind of shifted the tide. And then they lost again to the New England Patriots, and their head coach at that time was none other than Andy Reid. Yes, Andy Reid, the Andy Reid who is now the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid took them to the Super Bowl in 2004, and they lost to the New England Patriots. So they still hadn't won a Super Bowl. It had been since 1960. 40 years, 2000. 17 years after that, finally, in 2017, led by Nick Foles, also known as St. Nick, and the head coach at the time, Doug Peterson, they defeated the team that had defeated them 13 years ago. They defeated the New England Patriots 41-33 in the second highest scoring game in Super Bowl history. And just like the Kansas City Chiefs, it looked like glory days were ahead of them for years to come. But how quickly everything changes in the NFL. 5 years later, 2023, Foles is gone. Peterson is gone. And only 7 players remain from that Super Bowl team. My point is, these two franchises and their fans, they've gone through the highs of the glory and the depths of being ignored and ridiculed and panned. It's a term that's used for when a movie goes bad. They panned the movie. Well, these two teams were panned. The fan bases had every chance to turn up, and rightfully so. They couldn't produce a winner, especially Kansas City. I mean, they won back in 1970. Nothing. They didn't even get into the Super Bowl until 4 years ago with Pat Mahomes. So the franchises suffered. There were a lot of ups and downs, as we know. Human beings, we always have ups and downs. And franchises are no different. So the point that I'm trying to make is that you got to stick with it. And I don't say that being a fan that you got to stick with it. I'm talking about in your personal life. Yeah, in your personal life. See, as a fan, you're focusing on something else. Okay. For a fan, it makes it all the sweeter, I guess. Okay. That's why there's still fans who support the Arizona Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons, the Buffalo Bills, the Carolina Panthers, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, and the Tennessee Titans, even though they have never, ever won a Super Bowl. Some of them have not even been in one. Cleveland Browns. Actually, Cincinnati. What am I talking about? Cincinnati. Oh, yeah, they've been in the Super Bowl. They didn't win. They lost last year to the Rams. Minnesota Vikings, they've been in a couple, and they've lost. Tennessee Titans, they've been in one, and they lost. So, Detroit Lions, never, ever, 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 ever have been in the Super Bowl. So they just lost before they got there. It's that dream. You got to have that dream. The dream that one day in their lifetime, the franchise, if you're a fan, will get the job done. I want you to dream about getting the job done in your life. What do you want? I mean, the Super Bowl is a culmination of what a team wants. This might be Friday morning review of the NFL, but I'm still going to bring it back to you. What do you want? If it takes a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, are you willing to stick with it to get it? Because that's what it might take. And then if you taste that success, like the Dallas Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the Las Vegas Raiders, when they were the Oakland Raiders, and the LA Raiders, the Miami Dolphins, or the New York Jets, or the Washington Commanders, if you've tasted this success, and all of a sudden you go through a dry spell, how long are you willing to stick with it? Well, if you've been a fan of these teams, you already have this in you. You have it in you to stick with it, to go after your dream. I know when it comes to the Super Bowl, I'm always using you. I'm always throwing you in it and making the Super Bowl on the periphery, like just out there somewhere. And the reason why I do this, that is, if you're a fan, you're showing the enthusiasm, you're showing the motivation, you're showing the perseverance to go after something, to stick with something. And I want you to do that in your own life. Don't let life get you down all the time. Persevere, pop back up, go get them. That's what Kansas City and Philadelphia did. So you can do it too. Now, back to the teams. These two teams feature two of the best quarterbacks in the league, in Pat Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Now, I know Jalen Hurts is fairly young, but he is a talent. They are not only two of the best teams, they're two of the most exciting teams in the NFL. They can get it done. Kansas City's defense has been an awesome surprise. They've never been known for defense, and they probably still aren't. They're known for their offense, but their defense has played really, really good. And that gives them a chance to win in this game, okay? That being said, what are my predictions? This is the preview of the Super Bowl, or one of them, the next to the last one. Okay. These two teams have endured 20 weeks. 20 weeks. That's 5 months of bone-crushing, hard-hitting, high-wire drama that is the NFL. And now it comes down to this one game. One game. My prediction is the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you've been tuning in, then you already know this in a sense. Also, Patrick Mahomes is a little bit hurt, but I'm not going to go into it. Not yet. I'll save that for next Friday, which is 2 days before the Super Bowl. And I will discuss why I think Philadelphia is going to win. And if you've tuned into my previews before, you know that I'm generally right. Why am I right? Well, I take the emotion out of it and I look at the two teams. Both teams are very, very good right now. The big unknown factor here, The thing that could swing this is Kansas City's defense. If Kansas City's defense is for real, guys, we are in for a heck of a game. And I think that's why we all watch it. So to all the fans everywhere, from Atlanta all the way down to what's a team that's pretty Green Bay, Miami, New York, it's Washington. Okay, from Atlanta to Washington and all the teams in between. Until next Friday, I bid you adieu. Adios, au revoir, arrivederci, and vaya con Dios. Take care, everybody. And remember, you are the most important facet of sports. Goodbye.